You're watching the Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Hey, all right. So the rumors were untrue. John is still alive and Robbie has hair. So there you go. This is the breaking news. And I was just joking with Robbie. I didn't even know if he had hair. I don't think I've ever seen him without the cap.
You know, I don't know if you have hair, Rex.
No, that's going to be the mystery that we're going to unfold later in the year. Can't blow it up all at once, right?
That's right.
John is back. Man, you've missed some great discussions. The DC well just keeps giving and giving.
I hate to say it, but DC is. There are many times in my life where I've said things, sports, comics, food, and I took an educated guess and I was right, and it made me look good, particularly when I was a consultant. People were like, wow, man, he saw that trend coming. Now that I'm done working and retired, I'll fully admit, I just guessed, man. I didn't mean to risk your money, but I just guessed. I didn't know what would actually happen or not.
I assumed everybody just knew that.
No, people thought I was like a genius in the food truck business. I had no idea people were going to pay $10 for 2 tacos off a truck. I guessed, especially in this part of the country. But DC continues to make me look like the most educated comic book world observer on the planet.
Be careful, it ain't over yet. It ain't over yet.
No, I just, I'm like, what are you guys doing? And of course everyone's like, James Gunn is a cool dude. He is. I'm sure he is a cool dude. He's got a plan. I'm not sure if he has a plan. It's a good plan. That's where I got to stop you. Because if you don't want Dave Bautista to be Bane, I already am questioning what you're doing.
Well, hold on. We're going to unpack all that. We got a lot to unpack. Did you miss all the conversations, right? So shout out to Kenneth Bird. CJ, what's going on? Two Gun Pedro, pew pew. Easy Go Lucky. Ron, what's up?
Hey, Edwin. Everybody, yes, I am back.
Let's see who else is here. Kenneth. Did I say Kenneth Bird? I did. Lars, man, what's up, man? And I'm trying. Adrian, what's up, bro?
Everyone in.
All right. So what's the occasion, dude? You got a date after the show? What's up?
No, I got another show after this show. I just recently started wearing the hat a little bit less. It was reminded of me that I have a beautiful head of hair and I need to be proud of it while I still have it because most people my age don't. So
were you talking to your mom?
What's that?
Were you talking to your mom?
No, but something like that. Sure. Let's just say that.
Yeah. How did you describe it before the show started again?
Luscious.
Yes.
Luscious.
Yes, not a word I would have imagined that you would have used.
Darkly rich, dark and rich brown, where in the light you see like these threads of gold. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I just want to say, Hair Club for member. He's not just a member.
Does he use horse shampoo? Like I'm trying to think of the movie where the guy had luscious hair and he uses horse shampoo to make it shine like a mane. I can't remember that
rumor that you can use horse shampoo and it's gorgeous. So maybe we all need to try it.
So Stevie B is worried that it's going to be hair in his spam. That is the secret, though. A healthy dose of spam every week.
I got to be honest with you. I don't know if that would be the worst thing you can find in spam. I mean, let's be honest. It's spam.
That's a good point.
I'm just saying, you're kind of rolling the dice.
Oh, my gosh. What's going on, Cool Gamer? What's up, bud? Let's see. Who else is in the house? Preston is asking if we're talking about hair or gourmet chocolate. Interchangeable, my friend.
Why not?
It's interchangeable.
And I'll tell you, if you're on Facebook and you want to laugh during the day, follow Edward. It's at least 6-8 posts a day of just these cool, funny sort of cartoons and little comments and stuff like that. Like at first I was just like, okay. And then I'm like, I gotta see what's up with Edward. This is pretty funny.
All right. So we got a lot to unpack here. I think some of this will bleed into your Friday show, to be quite honest. Because I started reading all these articles, right? It's just a gift that keeps on giving. And this is the list.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we got a lot to unpack.
I made a few notes actually because I was like, I haven't been here for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and a lot has happened since you've been out, right? So there's a lot to unpack today. All right, so first off, let's get to the best offers, right? So probably this one's pretty cheap. We have Black Widow number 7 signed by Dwayne Swarinski. It's number 9 of 60, and it is a best offer book starting at $9. All right, for number 9 of 60. So that is our first best offer book. And in honor of John coming back, we have Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77.
Oh, okay.
You see where I'm going with that. Okay.
Yeah. I love
All right. Silver Signature Series signed by Jeff Parker. Suggested retail is $69.99. All right, Thomas, you got it, buddy. And this best offer is starting at $19.66 for 1966.
Nice.
All right, cool. All right, thanks, Thomas.
I was asked by Mr. Parker because we speak frequently.
Okay.
Start off with a name drop.
And if you need a minute, I know John hasn't been here in a while. If you need a minute to grab your beverage of choice, go ahead. All right, and we'll return to the drop. But that is an official name drop.
He told me after 10 years of internet friendship, he would appreciate if I was
breaking up with you.
No, he would appreciate if I would stop asking publishers to give him books to do that no one will buy.
Ouch. It would have been easier if he broke up with you.
Well, no, it's funny because there's like a very small group of people. Like if he were to do a book that I wanted, Mariano would buy it. I would buy it, probably both copies, and then Jeff would get his comps, and there would be we kind of like this weird 60s, 70s, 50s obscure science stuff. And there's not really much of a market for that. Even if you go to like one of the Facebook groups, like old guys who complain about things, there's only like 13 or 14 of us talking about like, Billy Blastoff or know what that means. So like exactly what's the market for that?
You should just really learn to draw. That's the only way most of that stuff's getting made.
You know what? One of the things I'll try to
Marcus, what's up, man?
Is I have a little like Padfolio thing with my comics, and it's about 30 or 35 sketches I had done over the years at different artist alleys, where I'd ask people to do things, toys from the 60s and stuff like that. And the number of times they had no idea what I was talking about was... the first time I asked Amy Chu to draw the Zeroids, she was like, what? And she busted out her phone to see what a Zeroid was. She's like, do you mean this toy? And I said, yeah. And she's like, is this for a kid or for you? So I wound up getting a Poison Ivy sketch. All
right. So Weird wants to see the 4-cover connecting a Spidey. Thank you, Jay. All right. So we might as well go to that one next. Amazing Spider-Man number 789, 4 connecting cover sketch of Green Goblin and Spidey by Joe Del Beato and Ken Hazer. It's just retail of $800. We have this set for $500.
Do we have the colorist here? Should we bring him in and discuss his choices?
I don't know if you can convince him to.
He looks like he's busy at his desk. I don't know if I necessarily want to say.
You say Ken Hazer. Is Ken Hazer working with Joe on this one, or is it Joe and Mario?
No. I'm sorry. Joe Del Beato and why do I have Ken Hazer? Mariano Nicieza. Sorry, guys.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Yeah, that's on me. That's
collaboration for the ages, right? That'd be nice.
I just.
Oh my God! Could you imagine? Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's on me. I wrote it down wrong.
We have an idea.
I wrote it down wrong. I got distracted, which doesn't take too much these days. So this one, So I snatched this one. Lyle, what's up, man? Oh, you're welcome, buddy. And hopefully you're at home, not freezing to death in the Arctic there. I know last week you said you were headed home, so hopefully you're there.
One of the things I did when I was laid up is I watched a lot of horror, but I watched a lot of fringe horror, and I kind of
when you're not laid up, you're watching that.
No, I'm usually watching comic book stuff more than horror. When I don't feel well, horror is like real comforting to me, especially the older stuff.
It's so
And
weird on so many levels.
I realize that I'm a fan of what's called, by at least the Audible world, Arctic horror. I really like when people are isolated out in the middle of nowhere. And now as I'm watching these things and I'm seeing like, the original thing, whatever, and I'm thinking like they filmed this in Lyle's backyard. Because it's just like the ice flow and there's nothing there. And they talk about how the helicopter is 17 hours away. Where do you have to be where a helicopter is 17 hours away?
Did you go out this weekend? Or you pretty much just stayed at home?
No, I haven't gone out much at all. Other like Wawa, you know what I mean? Quick trip to Wawa.
Well, here's a trick.
Am I the only person who noticed Robbie's not wearing a hat?
We
covered that like minutes ago, man.
Okay.
Are you kidding? He's not wearing the hat because I assume you'll be debuting Dynamite hats at dynamiteforces.com.
Actually, there is a big announcement that's coming up with Robbie soon. And
Robbie's got hair. Too late.
I also saw an image of Robbie earlier today with him not wearing a hat, which is why
are you stalking Robbie? It's a little weird, Nick.
Oh no, we were sharing something. So
I was going to say because I stalk him a lot.
Because that's less weird.
His other show.
Exactly. It'll be an announcement to come.
The announcement is Nick's going to wear the red pants. You are correct, CJ.
Wrong.
Yep. He wants this free comic.
So it's worth a try.
And he's going to wear my hat backwards. That's what he's going to do too. I sent him my hat. That's what happened.
So there's no Dynamite hats forthcoming. That's something I just.
We're working on the hats.
We are working on the hats. We are working on the hats.
I hope I get a Dynamite hat when they come out. I'll send you all my size. They can only be fitted. If they're not fitted, I'm sorry. We got to make a special one for me. Then.
Yeah, dude. Of course, you're a star.
That ain't happening.
He's got the legs.
I don't think we got the fitted hats. They're the adjustable ones.
Will you shut?
That's because Robbie hey, listen, I'm a hat guy. Because Robbie likes to turn the hat backwards.
Yeah, that's weird.
Right?
You like your hair a little too much.
That's what I'm saying. But I get it. No, I get where Robbie's coming from because I'm a fitted hat guy too, right? So Robbie likes to spin it around. And if it's not a fitted hat, then what you got is that big gap. And then if it's still a little too tight, you get that thing, that mark on your forehead. Yeah. Am I right, Rob?
Yeah, it doesn't look good. It looks nice when it's flush, and it's just like whole, right? It's
totally not good, man. I mean, I do not wear baseball hats, but I do wear like a Boston Scally.
It's so rare when I wear a hat that people look at me weird for wearing a hat.
So who wants to see Nick in a hat? And the red pants all at once.
It's the same way people look at me when I don't wear a hat. They're like, "Who's
a red hat with pom pom on top?" And that's the red pants.
We get those.
Can we get John a Dynamite hat that has a little propeller at the top of it?
Preston says we need a Rex cap. All right, I want to ask everybody one thing, just since we're all here. The Rex cap.
Wait, I want to say one thing. I want to answer Stevie B's question. Stevie B, that was a typo on my part. It is Joe Del Beato and Mariano Nicias.
Oh, yeah,
and not Ken Hazer. That's on me, buddy. All right, I apologize for that. But go ahead, Nick.
A Santa hat with red pants. No.
Well, at that point, we might as well just get the suit altogether, man.
I can fit in it. I can fit in it well.
You get a bargain that way if you wear the whole suit.
Do you see this jiggle? I'm Santa 24/7.
Now we just need the beard, the hat, and the pants.
Sir, I remember having a jiggle like that. It was the 5th grade.
Marcus asked me if I bowl. I told him, I was like, "Are you kidding me? I carry a 24/7 bowling ball. I can't lift another one."
You're asking a lot, my man. You're asking a lot.
Right? He's like, "Oh yeah, your brother bowls." I was like, "Yeah, he doesn't have a 24/7 bowling ball like I do."
Dynamite caps have sticks of dynamite on them.
I'm like Jello pudding right
that's actually really good.
I like that idea.
Marcus is gonna need a comp.
This is a great commission cover art by Joe and Mariano.
Oh, the 4-cut. Yeah,
it definitely is.
I mean, like, this is pure Ramita love. Wow.
So I've been talking to Ken a little bit, as you've asked me not to do, sir.
Hey, Amy, is Ken coming in on Wednesday, or did John scare him off?
I didn't get confirmation yet.
John scared him off.
I talked to him the other day, and he said he planned on being here Wednesday.
Okay.
We talked about 4-cover connecting.
Look at CJ. I have too much hair for a hat.
The 4-cover connecting covers. We talked about 16 connecting covers, like a whole, like filling the whole.
You want to hear something funny? Did Mariano leave yet?
I don't know, but
If not, he's running out the door right now.
He's running out no, I just had this idea of the whole, because we can fit 16 comics on here, right? So one big cover of like Spider-Man 300 or whatever, and it's 16, essentially it's like a puzzle.
I suggest you email me. I don't know about that.
2 questions for the audience, then I'll let you guys do the show.
Do you think
because I'm the one who complains that you guys don't talk enough comics, and now I'm interrupting. So,
sir, this is a comics show.
First question: would anybody like to see this as commission cover art? Hit 1s for yes, 2s for no. And God, I hope
is that the Fantastic Four?
And God, I hope I remember which one's yes and which one's no. So 1s for yes, 2s for no. Lars, man. We're working on it. Hey, Adrian Montanez, you're back. It's been a long time.
We haven't seen him for a while. Look at Lars, man.
62 Lefty Blues. All right.
The Dynamite Unlimited app, like the Regal Unlimited app, would probably yield the same results.
All right, so here's question number 2. Do we put this on 4 covers like this, or do we put it on 6 covers? Hit 1 for 4 covers like our standard, 2 for 6 covers.
Oh, do 6 covers.
How about 16, like John just was recommending?
Yeah, that's what made me think about this. Because I'll tell you what I suggested to Mariana once we get the votes in. Maybe I should have people say 4 and 6 so that we don't get confused. Start over. 4 for 4 covers, 6 for 6 covers. I don't want to mix up this with the last one.
Is Mariano still here?
Marcus, actually 1 for 4. Look at Preston. We'll do 1 for 4.
Nice.
Marcus, actually, Mariana was thinking about putting it all on 1 cover. So, okay, so 4 covers. No one has said 6 covers yet.
See,
This is too much like work. I just created a math test.
I don't know enough about
Pop that up. That's on
that
Facebook. Everybody on Twitch and YouTube
I'm
and
assuming
Twitter
that makes it harder, right?
What?
The more covers?
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, I don't draw, so I don't know.
All right.
I think so.
I suggested 4 as well because Ronald had 4 covers framed. That's weird. This is too much like work. Then he says 6. You say 4 covers too hard to. That's what I said, Ronald. All right, so we're going to do this, and it'll be 4 covers. Mariana was worried. He's like, yeah, but you're going to see the bottom half of Thor and the bottom half of the thing. I was like, yeah, but people will have all 4 together. So
yeah, I would assume when people buy the connecting covers,
CJ
they put them in
6. Wow.
They put them in like 1 frame.
Lyle, you can't say 4 then 6. You confuse me. I'm not that smart.
He wants add them up.
This makes me think of that old joke. You walk into a pizza place, you order a large pie. Guy says, do you want me to cut it into 8 slices or 12?
I can't eat
8. I can never eat 12.
Never eat 12.
So I was like 4, 6.
6 plus 2 wide covers. I like that.
I will tell you, I saw Knives Out, Glass Onion last night.
Oh, my wife just watched that like 3 times.
I really,
I like that one. I like that one a lot.
I liked it a lot too. It definitely went in a place that I didn't see it going. I think I only saw one thing happening, and it was the big thing. And by saying that, hitting the button, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the only thing that was telegrammed a mile away.
Yeah. I really loved Ed Norton in that movie. The entire cast. Kate Hudson was awesome in it. The entire cast was great.
It was fantastic. I mean, it was just really well done. Because I'm like halfway through, like, you get to that one part, and you're like, how are they going to fill the other hour and 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, this is fantastic.
All right, Tom Bishop was not impressed.
It's about 50-50. If you look on Facebook and stuff like that, about half the people are like, wow, this is really great. And the other half of the people are like, eh.
So what did we offer so far since I screwed it up?
The 2 best offers and then the connecting covers.
Okay.
Ron, the voice of reason.
There you go. He is right, because it is a lot more work. Don't we have like some stuff that's like really, really blockbuster price?
Well, we did the Black Widow already, which was best offer at 9, and Thomas jumped in to start us off. And then we did Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77, signed by Jeff Parker, and that's a best offer starting at $19.66.
Okay, that's good. That's good. A lot of booster gold, everybody.
Yeah, we do have some booster gold stuff. Everybody was excited about that. You missed it, John, when we were Dwayne's a pain. Is that John or Tom Brady?
Yeah, we're trying to match the Fox Sports offer right now for Tom Brady. We're trying to match that offer to get him over here.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
And he ain't starting until 2024 anyway.
We need some more members on the EXP because we're trying to get Tom Brady. So if not him, Tony Romo, because it seems like he's like on the hot seat right now.
He's going to be available pretty soon, I would think. They don't seem to want him at all.
Man, I don't know what happened to him. He fell off a cliff.
So I've had pistachios for dinner so far.
All right. Well, let's throw another book up there then.
Everything's $1.99 here at Nice Comic.
Hey, look, Marcus is throwing in $80 to get Brady, so that's nice. We just need more of that. So.
All right. Well, let's do a Booster Gold one. Heroes in Crisis number 9. Cover B variant signed by Clay Mann and Tom King. Suggested retail is $69.99. Cool. Number 2 of only 40 signed. And we have one available, 5-star at 50.
Let's make it 40.
All right, so Nick is slashing the price to 40.
Get your Booster Gold now.
Yeah, for some reason, last Tuesday, I had a bunch of people show up into my shop and be like, yeah, I've always been interested in Booster Gold. I was curious if he had his first appearance.
And you're sitting there going, you've been shopping here for 20 years. You never wrote Booster Gold up once.
Exactly. Like, we had plenty of them. They're gone now.
Did we've looked into Herbie. The rights holder doesn't want to license it out, even though Alan Moore said he would write it. So now, Alan Moore did not tell us he would write it. He has said in interviews he'd like to write it. So
well, with Booster Gold, I saw an article on Yahoo today, which basically went through history. So there's a lot of buzz about it, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, remember how excited
we'll see what we can do in the full figure, Ronald. I'm going to get out of here before I slash prices.
What was that show? Oh, Legends of Tomorrow. Remember how excited everybody was? I mean, it had its fans and its detractors, right, but everybody was psyched when there was a Booster Gold appearance at the end, and then the show got canceled.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, you're like, I think it was, who did they get to play Booster Gold? I want to say maybe Donald Faison. And people were excited. And you're like, and then the show ends. I think, thank you, Donald Faison. There's a booster market out there. There are people, like we've talked about this a long time. I'd love to kind of nudge. Like, I'd like to be not trapped. I'd like to be on a plane with Dan Jurgens for like 3 hours and no available seat for him to jump to. So he would be forced to listen to my booster.
This is one of those incidents you read about where you're on a runway and they turn back to the gate. Okay, kind of scenario.
Yeah, even the Booster Gold from Smallville, and I don't have a lot of good to say about Smallville, but even the Booster Gold version, Smallville version, was okay.
Booster Gold's definitely got that cult following. He's got like a core fan base, right? And what I like about the Booster Gold series is that it seems perfect for a James Gunn-led DC universe to do that, right?
Agreed.
Like his humor works so well to me, and it will introduce the DC version of time travel and hyper time as well. So you get to play with that in case they need to use more of that in the future. And then if you cast him right, and everybody right now has been talking about the dude who played like he was like the more of the bullyish guy in Top Gun Maverick, right? Like who was like wanting to be the leader of the mission or whatever. He would be perfect for Booster Gold.
Oh man, I'm trying to think of who that was now.
Well, when we were talking about last week when you were out, we talked about which movie or which show.
Glenn Powell, that's his name. Glenn Powell should be Booster Gold. I'll say that.
So after they made the announcement of what's coming, there were a lot of votes for Booster Gold. So clearly there's definitely interest in it.
I think when you cast Booster Gold, you have to find an actor that can do equal parts capable and incapable. Because let's be honest, people like Booster Gold because he's kind of on the shallow end of like the intelligence gene pool, right? The guy makes mistakes. He's kind of on the shallow end of the morality gene pool too, because in the original telling, he's like an athlete that gets caught illegally gambling. And so the only job he can get is he's like a janitor of the Flash Museum or the Museum of Metropolis or whatever it was.
Yeah, so he steals the time travel bubble, right? Goes back to time. Yeah.
He steals the time travel stuff, and it's sort of like, so you want him to be capable, but he can't be.
Sean Butler has Miles Teller might be good.
You know who I'd like to see Miles Teller do? I'd like to see him come back and do Reed Richards. That would be cool.
That
Like, I
would be
think you could
interesting.
actually do it
but
again.
I don't
Miles
know.
Teller, but I
I
think he's too young.
Well, not only that, there's too much baggage with that now. I don't think you can go back on
They're
that.
totally
But-
going young. They're totally going young because the latest rumor is Dev Patel, the kid from well, not the kid anymore, but he was in Slumdog Millionaire. He was in The Green Knight. Like, I don't know. That's an interesting
I know
choice.
exactly who that is.
All right. So before we got to go to break, tonight, every person who purchases an item, regardless of what the item is, will get a free Barbarella, the Center Cannot Hold Ash Can Edition, and Draculina Blood Simple Ash Can Edition. All right. So only one per customer. So if you buy like 5 things, you're still only gonna get one of each. But for everybody that purchases something, you're gonna get those 2 ash cans for free. So that is the giveaway, I guess.
You know what? It's hard to, I guess, cast because it's releasing comics, right? You can make anyone do anything, right? Even Alex Ross, who I consider sort of like ground zero for creativity the last 20 or 25 years in comics,
right?
From the art side, even he's done different iterations of Reed Richards, right? In the beginning, he drew Reed Richards to look like Russell Johnson, the professor from Gilligan's Island. But as the years went by, even that kind of changed a little bit. And then he drew Reed Richards to look like, I can't think of his name now, but he's like another 50s and 60s actor who would play professors. I think he's the guy who played the professor in the First War of the Worlds. I can't think of his name, but like even his perception of it changes, right? It's easy for him to do that. It's hard for an actor to play a super genius, a dad, a husband, a best friend, a scientist, an adventurer. That's a lot. I mean, that's really a lot.
And we're certainly, my friend, for someone who's loyal to that to our group here, of course, we'll make it available to you, buddy. So let me know if you want a 10-pack. We got to go to our first break. Stay with us. We got a lot to unpack this show now that John's back. All right. So we'll be back in a couple minutes.
Do you remember what it was like when you were a little kid and you got a letter in the mail? Now imagine that letter was filled with information about your favorite shows, pop culture questions, links to things you're going to want to see later, and even sneak peeks at upcoming programming here on The Experience. That's what the EXP mailing list is. Every week, we send you sneak peeks, information, and all of the relevant links for all of the shows you want to see. Sign up now on our website or scan the QR code that's on your screen right now. Did you know that every Experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
You just finished the last episode of your favorite new show, and you just have to talk about it. But all your friends are ghosting you because of that incident last week at the buffet. Oh, you know the one. What you did to that chowder. Ugh. Keeps me up at night. So what do? Join writer Dan Wickline as he breaks down all your favorite pop culture media. Whether it's a review of the latest nerdy TV show or a dive back into the history of your favorite comic characters, Dan's ready to discuss all the hottest topics live. Join the conversation as Dan live streams Tuesday through Thursday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. The Dan Wickline Show on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
making money, you're back in business.
All right, we're back. All right, so now that we've got John back, we've got a ton. All right, I got you at Weird. I got you for a 10 pack, brother. So we've got a lot to unpack, right? So after.
Yeah, I saw somebody got the professor from War of the Worlds. Yeah, I was just talking about that, and you could, and I kind of stumbled into someone's blog on Facebook, and they were talking about how Alex Ross clearly is old and a fan of old sci-fi movies, because you can pick out how he draws people over years to look at these older things or whatever. But even he changes, right? So Reed Richards as a character kind of doesn't ever really change, right? I mean, it's two part and parcel. Like the Fantastic Four can't change that much.
Well, not only that, his power prevents him from changing. You're not going to get wrinkles.
Yeah, well, no, but I mean, literally, you can't do. Yeah, maybe you can make him younger. I mean, you can change genders and races and time frames. But at the end of the day, you've kind of got a little bit of the absent-minded professor, his best friend, his girl, and her little brother.
And he has the best ability to do a comb over. All right, so Robbie, I did not watch it over the weekend. I apologize, but there was news about this. So to drift a little bit away from all the DC news, which we'll unpack later. So saw an article today about Everything Everywhere All at Once, right? So we all heard it was off of Jackie Chan, which it was. Okay, then they made a hard turn and brought Michelle Yeoh's character to the lead.
Well, originally, yes, she had almost no.
Well, we had discussed whether or not he regrets it and yada, yada, yada. And based on today's news, I'm going to say that he does regret it. And I thought that he would. It's one thing to have more money than God. Okay. It's another thing to have been in the movie industry since you were a teenager, more or less. Okay. Falling off buildings and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that guy said he started, 15 or 16 on sets? Yeah.
So, but the problem is, and this was the story that he told. Actually, and I read this when I was in Taiwan on the news, he was giving an interview, whatever, and he said that if everybody remembers, Chinese Connection was called Here But Fists of Fury, back in Hong Kong, where he kicks the Japanese guy out of the room. Mm-hmm. Okay, Jackie Chan said that was him. He was the stunt guy that got kicked out of the room, and that was really the beginning of his career.
Yes.
So Jackie Chan was probably, you're right, Sean. He's probably an extra in a lot of those films, but regret, okay, because obviously Michelle Yeoh and Top Round. Oh my God, I really got to learn. I got to remember his name.
Short Round,
rather, not Top Round. Short Round.
His regret. Steak, man?
Yeah, I didn't have dinner yet, so I am a little hungry.
And it's Ki Hoi Kwan, right?
Yeah, but I'm not going to remember that. But here's the thing. So apparently, news has come out that Jackie Chan had texted or emailed or contacted Michelle Yeoh and said, "Hey, congratulations on the movie." Which obviously has been critically acclaimed, and they're in the running for the Academy Awards.
It's red carpet season, and she's everywhere. Right.
So you want to talk about regret. So the report is on the tagline after he said that, by the way, just want to let you know that your boys came to me first. If that's not a sign of regret, because I'm going to tell you right now, let's call it what it is. The odds of Jackie Chan, especially in this part of his career, ever being nominated for an Academy Award, I'm going to say it's pretty slim.
Yeah, he's kind of in that elder statesman role now where he's producing, he's making appearances, but,
he's also never quite been he's been in films that are important to cinema, like Hong Kong cinema and American cinema.
Yes.
But he's never been in a movie at this level. Because even in Hong Kong cinema, like Jet Li was able to do some things and flex those muscles with other things like Hero and House of Flying Daggers and stuff. And he hasn't really had that kind of opportunity, right?
He does, that's true, Marcus, but we all know an honorary Oscar and an Oscar for best film or best actor, whatever, is very different.
We should ask Miss Jen for an honorary Eisner. She's on the committee, I heard.
You mean you want to ask her? Should send her an email.
I already have one.
Preston, he did. So did Clint Eastwood, okay, for Unforgiven, if I remember correctly. Right? Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if Jackie can do it. I'll be honest with you, because what he's known for is something that he cannot, he can't physically do anymore. Given his age.
Well, that's just like Jet Li, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Jet Li
Jet
was
Li
in an
is.
incredible amount of stuff. He kind of broke through to the American action movie scene with The One, remember? A lot of people forget about that. That's a movie where you took essentially a Hong Kong guy, martial arts scene guy, and The One was sort of like an action movie that just happens, to have like the martial arts lead or whatever. And now, I mean, the guy can't get out of a chair.
Yeah, he's
mean,
having Large man, go ahead, buddy. But I will say this. Okay, so there was a movie that was produced in China, and Jackie Chan was one of the stars, and that probably, but unfortunately, that didn't have a Western audience, and it talked about the initial Chinese Revolution, right? And war with Imperial Japan and all that, and it obviously didn't take care. I watched the movie. And it was great. It was a historical, historical drama. He played a role that, there was some action, but not what you normally associate with Jackie Chan. That probably was his best shot until this came around. Okay. And I know he's got to be kicking himself as Michelle Yeoh is strutting around, man. I hope she wins. I do.
I guarantee you that she's going to win 100%. I guarantee you that Michelle Yeoh is going to win the Academy Award. I guarantee it. I 100%. And I think Jackie Chan has it within him. Now, earlier I mentioned House of Flying Daggers. Jet Li was not in that. I don't know what I was thinking. But I think Jackie Chan has the potential to do something that would be at that level. He just has to get the right role. And he's got to not turn it down next time when it comes up to his knocking on the door.
There was the right role. He just didn't take it. I mean, that's the problem. Lyle Hobbs and Steven Seagal. Are you kidding me?
There's always...
What I'm saying is, do you not think that somebody then will try to capitalize on that? I'm thinking for instance, Jackie Chan played in the Karate Kid remake. He played Mr. Miyagi, which makes me think of what's his name? Pat Morita. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pat Morita was not known to be capable of a very brilliant performance in the Karate Kid. And even though that's not a lot of people wouldn't view that as a high level of cinema, his performance, especially in that scene when he's drunk, thinking about his wife, talking about his time in the war, that's powerful stuff.
Well, you look at what Pat Morita was doing before that. Literally, the guy is on Love Boat. He's playing like a Chinese diplomat on Barnaby Jones, these forgotten TV series.
Barnaby Jones.
Well, this is what I'm saying. If you look at Pat Morita up before he becomes Mr. Miyagi, he's just, and I hate to say this because it sounds a little racist, but this is how they cast back then. If you needed an Asian guy, there were 3 or 4 guys they looked for: Pat Morita, Key Luke, Robert Ito,
Mako.
Mako. I mean, there was 3, 4, 5 guys that every agent had a phone number for. We need an Asian, in quotes, right? What's his name? Discussed this. John Cho discussed this. He said his agent told him right out. He's like, I've been friends with my agent a long time. He told me as soon as they heard about a Star Trek project, he's like, you're going to be called to be Mr. Sulu. I know you're going to get called. He's like, because there's a certain number of Asian actors at the level that they're going to want to be Mr. Sulu.
Right.
And it's one of the cool things is that's changing now. Right? Especially with movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once. And even
that's what I meant. It's in the 70s when, Pat Morita, you look at his work before he's Mr. Miyagi, you would have no idea that, the guy who played, in a sit, he was on The Odd Couple or something. And then you see the scene like you mentioned where, he's sort of deep in his cups talking about the wife. I mean, there's a lot of emotional resonance there. And you're like, where's this coming from? You know what I mean? You just didn't.
I want to address what Weird just said. And Weird, I can't possibly comment on it because I didn't even watch it, dude. It is just so ridiculous, the Pro Bowl now.
Does anybody even watch that anymore? It's no. I love all-star games for baseball and basketball, but for the Pro Bowls never felt like one of those.
Well, they never seem to be able to do it right. Baseball's all-star game is legendary, and at least the NBA's all-star game, it's all-star weekend, right? It's a dunk contest, it's three-point contest.
You just can't do it with football.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't, because even if you did it the way before, very little defense, there's still a risk of somebody getting hurt.
They're playing like football practically.
Yeah, so they're trying to do something like NBA All-Star Weekend, but I just don't think it's doable. Pat Morita was on a lot of episodes of MASH. I agree.
And Happy Days as well, of course. Happy Days.
And I'll be honest, and part of the reason that it shifted, to be quite honest, and it happened with the big MCU movies and everything else, is because right now you have such a huge market in China they're trying to reach. And if you don't do that, then you're going to have problems, right?
A filmmaker was talking about that. He said he wished it was human nature improving that was putting more people of color and women into leading roles. And he's like, unfortunately, it's based on money. It's based on money. And he was like unhappy about that, right? Like, shouldn't we have just realized, why can't Reed Richards be a Egyptian doctor? Why does he have to be like, an upstate New York guy, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why I like the idea of Dev Patel. That's why I like that idea. Because I think he's a great actor. He has the chops to do it. And I think he would be able to have that kookiness and that seriousness. But it's kind of like science. Wouldn't it be great if we lived in a world where we just had scientific advancements for the sake of it? But money is always the motivating factor behind these changes.
How can we do this quicker so like a better engine is involved?
Lars, man, I just poured a double
Lance, spell me some slabs.
All right, let's do a slab.
Let's do some slabs.
All right, so this one's kind of cool. This also, thinking about John, Red Sonja and Vampirella meet Betty and Veronica #1.
I love this.
CGC graded guaranteed 9.8. Suggested retail of $89.99, and it is one of our 5-star for $50 books.
Man, I love this, and I should, you know what I mean? I'm a Red Sonja and Vampirella fan, and I shouldn't want to see them in Riverdale, but I can't help it. This thing was so cool.
I love these covers.
You got it, Lars, man. It is yours, my friend.
I have a couple different versions of this, and it makes me.
They
make me happy.
It's.
What you had on that desk behind you, you weren't even looking, so I just took it. It was like the black cover.
I'll never notice. So yeah, there's certainly been a shift. I don't know of another Asian actor that's won Best Actor Academy for the Academy Award. So she may be the first. Again, I haven't seen the movie, so I do need to watch the movie. But it'll be interesting. I know Robbie, you like the movie. You enjoyed it, so I'm interested to see how that works out. But
that's a nice pickup. I'm glad Lars, man. I'm glad somebody grabbed that, but that's a nice pickup by Lars, man. That's one of those books where, and I always say this, right? I just look at it and smile. I mean, I'm terrible. I don't resell anything. I know there are collectors like Ron, and then there are people.
Your wife's not too happy about it either.
We have like a couple different kinds of buyers, right? We've got collectors like Ron. He collects a certain amount of thing. He doesn't even read the books. He collects them to own them. That's totally great. I mean, I have stuff I haven't read or worn or whatever. And then we had collectors like Dave Cerrone, right? Like he's buying the stuff to someday resell. And there's nothing wrong with that either, right? All this is how the world goes around or whatever.
All right. So
then there's books.
This is really weird. So like I'm looking up who's the first people to win like Best Actor, Best Actress of Asian descent. Vivian Lee.
Oh, Sean, you're right. That's right.
Well, Vivian Lee is the first one to win Best Actress who played Scarlett O'Hara. Apparently she is of Indian descent. And then Yul Brynner was the first. Yul Brynner was the first to win Best Actor, but it's because he's Russian.
Here comes Amy. There's a question.
Amy just walked in with a very confused look on your face.
I did not know that. He just said that Vivian Lee was South Asian. I didn't hear quite what you said.
It said of Indian descent.
Okay,
is what it says. And Yul Brynner was born in Russia, so that's why he counts.
Also, sort of.
Amy still has that confused look on her face.
I'm sure he's right, but I had no idea.
Or the squeaking, that was for TV. I'm reading the comments.
So let it be written.
All right, so hold on a second. Lars man is all into slaps night. So we got an interesting one. I'm putting the show together, and I didn't notice this at first. And then I looked at it when I went to take the picture.
It was like 10-6, right?
No, it's better than this. Here we go. Red Sonja, the Superpowers #1, CGC graded 9.8. Anybody catching this?
Wait, what?
CGC messed up.
Oh no! I was just going to say
it's actually a Vampirella #16.
I'm sorry, I thought Jay put up the wrong.
Nope. I looked at this and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, something's wrong. So it is an error one. I'm throwing it out there just for the fun of it. So Red Sonja Superpower is number 1, CGC graded 9.8, but it's not. It's actually Vampirella number 16, graded 9.8.
So I have a question. Did you go look at Vampirella number 16 and see if Superpowers is in there? If they just swapped the two?
No. I confirmed with Nick. Correct, Thomas. That is an error. Oh, Dwayne's a pain. You got it, buddy.
Yeah.
It is yours, my friend. So I just thought that was funny. I'm like talking to Nick about it. I'm like, you want to throw it up as an error? And he's like, yeah, why not?
In 1957, we had a woman of Japanese descent win for Sayonara. There's a lot of Asian, like, this is crazy though. Like, Natalie Portman is listed because she's born in Israel. But that's not what we would typically think of when we think of,
That's a little
Asian
bit of a stretch, maybe.
Yeah,
I get
that's
what you're
stretching a
saying.
little bit.
Asia's a big continent.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. Okay,
No one's
I
the
don't
lead
know.
actor or actress.
Yeah, you might be right.
Supporting very few,
Right.
but no
but
one.
let
for
me
lead.
say this. I think this one's unique in the sense that Michelle Yeoh is a known actor, actress, whatever you use now. That's been around a really long time. Made a lot of different films that have been accepted by the Western audience. Okay, usually, like you say, Scarlett O'Hara, Vivian Leigh. Okay, I don't doubt that that's true, but everybody's like, what? Really?
It's a stretch. Right? It's more of a stretch than, for real. It's a stretch.
Then we go to, I just wanted to double check because I couldn't remember her name. This thing, Nancy Kwan won the Golden Globe for The World of Susie Wong, I think.
Yes.
Robert Holden.
Yes, that's right.
That was just on TMC. One of these times where I'm up at like 4:00 in the morning and I can't sleep and I'm looking at it. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like my other favorite movie.
They got Cher listed as an Asian actress who has won an Academy Award because she's of Armenian descent. But yeah,
Sean says Michelle being a mainstay on Star Trek Discovery in recent years has also helped.
She's really good on Star Trek.
Girl, I agree. But
now,
somebody
we do know, by the way, I didn't know this, but like I knew that Ang Lee won a Best Director, making him probably the first Asian to win Best Director. He was the first person outside of a white dude who won Best Director.
But
Ang Lee has two. Yeah, it has 2 directing Oscars, at least 2.
Well, somebody mentioned Steven Seagal when we were talking about the whole Jackie Chan thing. That man, not only was his martial arts crappy, he can't act. Oh my God! Every one of his movies were just brutal. Lyle, that's right.
Apparently, he was in like a reality show where he was cosplaying as like a sheriff or something, and I'm like,
oh, dude,
everything you do kind of whiffs of.
Well, he moved to Russia. He's a citizen of Russia now.
Good, they can have him. He's their problem now.
Oh my gosh!
When he starts grabbing people's clothes and pretending he knows Aikido or whatever, that's all on.
Yeah, it was really. Yeah, he probably is one of the worst. Yeah, I thank you, Lars, man. He is definitely one of the worst. I just and he really didn't know much, and he was. I like. Oh shoot, another martial artist from that era, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh,
he can't act either. Although that last movie he made was.
JC, did you watch JCVD? Is that the one you're talking about? We're at the bank.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't great acting, but it was one of its best roles. I think
it takes a lot to make fun of yourself.
Under Siege, Easy Go Lucky. I agree. Under Siege was good overall as a movie. Okay.
But you know what's better than Under Siege? Bloodsport. Because Van Damme ruled in Bloodsport. Come on.
Yes, Bloodsport was good.
Kickboxer is good.
Yeah, Kickboxer is good as well.
Street Fighter is amazing.
Well,
it's so bad, it's amazing.
Oh, Lars, man, Jim Cotta, you're right.
Oh, wait a minute. Who was the guy? Was it Kurt? Who was the guy?
Yeah, Kurt something or another. He was a gymnast.
He was a real gymnast.
Yeah, he was like a gold medal winning gymnast. Dwayne's a pain. I think Aikido translates fine. I don't think Steven Seagal actually knows any. Okay, that's oh yeah, that horrible dancing scene in Kickboxer.
That's an amazing scene. He's wearing the black tank top and like
the inventor of the twerk. Okay, I believe that is the first time that anybody twerked was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
And I'm going to agree with Jay. Frank Dukes is like the real life equivalent of a Steven Seagal. Like Frank Dukes, who the character in Bloodsport's based on, is basically just a big phony.
Well, Marcus is saying Duke's story is a fake backstory.
It's totally fake. This dude came back with the story. He's like, yeah, I just went to this secret island and won this crazy tournament called Kumite. I mean, it's what Mortal Kombat is. It's what Street Fighter is. It's what Bloodsport was based on, but it's totally bogus. This dude teaches.
Forget that, dude. Enter the Dragon. That's Enter the Dragon, dude. That's it.
It is. Exactly. He won the Kumite. I promise.
Lars Man says John Spilios can take Steven Seagal. I would bet on John Spilios as well.
Oh, my God.
Jay
John
says,
Spilios is jacked. I don't know if you guys have seen him, but this dude is jacked. So he can totally take Steven Seagal, I'm sure.
I choose to believe the Frank Duke story is true.
Whatever gets you.
It's still real to me.
It's still real to me. I need that gift, man.
But I mean, I saw pictures of him. He doesn't look anything like Jean-Claude Van Damme, that's for sure.
No, not at all. And then they had that falling out. It's so ridiculous if you look into the Frank Duke story and the falling out with Jean-Claude Van Damme. They were working on a movie together that became The Quest. He went and stole the script to try to prove to a court that he had it. How did you get this script? He's like saying that an earthquake in the early 90s, he went to go check on Jean-Claude after the earthquake. It had opened up his safe, and he wanted to make sure that the script was going to be safe, and that's why he had possession of this script that he shouldn't have. It's ridiculous, this Frank Duke stuff. Like, the more you go into it, somebody needs to make the real Frank Duke story. Like, that would be great. Get Jean-Claude to do that. That would be great.
Oh, Dwayne's a pain. Don the Dragon Wilson, who was hot, but he kept making, these kind of B type of films.
Well, there's that whole thing in the 80s and 90s where you have Don the Dragon Wilson, people like Cynthia Rothrock.
Oh, that's right.
Legitimate sort of, they could fight. They
just couldn't act.
The acting was shaky, and the stories were just being churned out, by somebody with black coffee, a carton of cigarettes, and a pile of cocaine and a typewriter. And they're given 48 hours, leaving Las Vegas style, to bust out a script. And that's the script that gets made for, some martial arts film. And you're like,
Let me tell you, Ernie Reyes Jr. I love. But I think that his problem was he stopped being the cute kid. And that kind of capped. He wasn't a horrible actor.
No, in fact, he's in one of the most important films of the 20th century, Surf Ninjas.
Yes, which you reviewed last Monday, correct?
Exactly.
There you go. So I mean, Ernie Reyes Jr. I wish his career would have taken a different, because he was really good as a martial artist.
He was really good, him and his father, and not to be confused with Ernie Banks Jr. Obviously. What I kept saying last week.
That's why he's not wearing the hat anymore. Sean Butler, that's true. That's why they had him as a character in TMNT 2. I think they realized they had something there.
Yeah,
I think Michael J. White is a guy they could have done a lot more with. I don't know if he didn't have the right representation. I don't know if maybe he didn't have the personality to play the Hollywood game. But Michael J. White is a guy that they could still do more with.
There is a world, a parallel universe out there somewhere where Spawn was the biggest movie of all time, and Michael J. White is like the biggest star of that world.
I get, it's hit or miss. I guess you just, you do it or you don't.
Well, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of factors, right? Yeah. You have to try to be in the right place in the right time with the right people. And you know what I mean? I could see, if you ever heard Michael J. White talk, he does not strike me as the sort of blank slate Hollywood person. He seems to me like a person of substance. So I could totally see him saying, yeah, I'm just not doing that. No, I don't want to talk to this person, and inadvertently costing himself. And you know who's like that a little bit now? He talks about it all the time. Is Wesley Snipes. In the beginning, Wesley Snipes said, I played the role. I did what they asked me to. He said it right out. Yes or no, sir. I'll do whatever you want me to do. And then I decided, you know what? No, I want to do what I want to do. Yeah,
but you got to get to a certain level of popularity.
I don't know if you can get any more popular than Wesley Snipes.
No, that's what I'm saying, though.
They essentially just, I don't want to say they blacklisted him because it's a bad joke, but essentially that's what happened.
Yeah, but he got to that point when New Jack City, and at that point he had reached that level.
Yeah, New Jack City, white men can't jump. right? Jungle Fever. Like he had
But
a streak.
part of it,
like serious.
but
bang.
part of it, I think, is Wesley kind of went off the deep end. You know, you remember those years of, well, you know, I don't have to pay federal taxes.
Well,
It
like,
says
what was
so.
Wesley's first movie where he showcased his martial arts? Did he do something before like New Jack City and White Men Can't Jump? Because Blade was one of
No.
the first ones I saw.
I
where
feel like Blade was the first
Passenger
time.
57.
That was
That was
after
after Blade, right?
Was that after?
Yeah, I think that was after Blade.
Because I was going to say there's a fair amount in Man of War. I think there was another movie, Man of War, where he
Art
played
of
like
War.
Art of
Art
War,
of War,
sorry, thank you.
which is after Blade as well. So
Is
like
that-
Blade
okay.
is the,
And
I
I
think the
guess
first time I saw that
yeah.
he could do this. Like he's a really great martial artist.
Yeah, I think that Blade, everybody discovered it. They're like, whoa. Wasn't Demolition Man also after Blade?
No, that's
I-
before. You're right. He's
And
doing
that
a
was
little,
before.
he's doing a little bit in there, but not as much as he does in Blade.
No.
But you're right. Yeah, yeah. Demolition Man's like 93, 94, maybe something like that.
He told a story where he hit during one of the scenes. He hit Sylvester Stallone for real, and he's like, "Oh man, you know, like cut. I'm sorry." Like, you know, he's like, you know, here's Stallone. It's like one of the biggest guys in Hollywood, and I'm thinking, I just lost this job. So I just blasted him in the face. He's like, Stallone looked at me and he said, "Look at my face. Everybody hits me in the face when I make these movies."
I remember that movie, Rising Sun. That's
Yeah.
right. I think somewhere along those lines. And then I guess Hollywood went nuts. They go, "Oh my gosh, Wesley Snipes, he's a real martial artist. What can we
Oh,
do
that's
with
right.
this?"
He played like an agent, and then in Rising Sun, I think
He was a
Rising-
cop, and
That's-
Sean Connery was the like agent dude.
Yeah.
and they
It's
were
based
trying
on
to work out a murder or something.
Yeah, it's based on the Michael Crichton novel, right? It's like corporate
Right.
espionage and all that kind of
And
stuff.
I
That's
think
a
the
good one.
Yakuza's in there at some
Yup,
point too,
yup.
or something.
I
It's
really
very-
enjoyed that movie, by the way. That was one I kind of didn't. You know, one of those movies you watch because of the star power. It had Sean Connery, it had Wesley Snipes, so you're kind of like, well, this should be
Well,
interesting.
yeah, you've got like old James Bond, so you kind of have the sentimental pull.
right.
And then at the time, Wesley's like, "Oh, Wesley Snipes movie, okay." Like you don't even ask; you ask what time it's at to get the ticket. You know, you don't wonder if you're going to go see it.
So, I didn't know that. Wesley Snipes has a new comic out, The Exiled.
Yeah, it drops this week actually in shops on Wednesday.
Oh, did it?
U.S. Marshals. Yeah, after that point, he was rolling with these martial arts kind of roles or action roles, if you will.
I really like U.S. Marshals, kind of like the unofficial sequel to The Fugitive, right? Like I really like U.S.
Yeah,
Marshals.
that's. Tommy Lee Jones is one of those guys that just kind of works in these movies, right? It's almost like he's like the best supporting guy
Right.
you've ever seen, right? Like I don't know if you would put him in the lead, but you put him like second or third down, and that movie instantly gets a lot better.
Well, would you say he's the lead in Lonesome Dove? He's kind of the lead, right? Like him, I mean, he shares it with a little bit with Robert Duvall and some other
Yeah, I
people.
was gonna say maybe just like with Men in Black, it's like a 50-50 deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of like
I
No
would agree.
Country because Josh Brolin's there too. But yeah, you're right. Like he makes the movie better. His best
Oh,
performance
Ron.
is Batman Forever.
Yeah, Wildcats. That was a great movie. I remember that. Large Man. All right, we got to go to break, but
Did
I'm
he
going to
start
read
in
off.
Wildcats, or did he start as Willie Mays Hayes in Major League?
No. Wildcats came out first.
Did it? Okay.
All right. So
What's the last slab left?
we're going to read it off for Large Man, then go to break. Vampirella versus Red Sonja, number 4. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Vampirella, number 1 from 2019, CGC graded 9.8. And it is a Alex Ross cover. Suggested retail of
Yeah,
$89.99. It is $69.19 for $19.69. That is the last slab, Large Man. So we got to go to break. We're going to go to break, and we'll be back in a couple minutes.
Why was Princess Zelda sad after watching a bunch of YouTube videos? She couldn't find the link in the description. We'll stop if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's super easy. Click subscribe and click the bell when you do. And thanks for supporting the EXP. What if Hans Gruber from Die Hard had to battle the Joker from Batman the Animated Series in a dance battle? Or who would win in a race between Baby from Baby Driver and Snidely Whiplash? If Austin Powers and Shrek found themselves in a hot dog eating contest, who would emerge victorious? These are the questions we talk about on Nerd Killer Warfare. Debate the most absurd questions you've ever heard in popular culture. Register now by scanning the QR code or visiting bit.ly/EXP casting. You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey. And behind every page, there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today. You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
And of course they won.
Stevie B was Hong Kong Phooey. All right, so you know what? We were talking about Booster Gold, how popular that seems to be. Everybody's doing that. Gotcha, Lars, man. All
I
right.
wish we had Peter Cannon Thunderbolt when we were talking about all this martial arts stuff, because I see that's the kind of movie I would like to see that idea done in a movie the right way, whether it's Peter Cannon Thunderbolt, which is my preference, or Iron Fist done not the way they did before, but that sort of journey of someone from the West, completely ignorant of, like Eastern culture, fighting style or whatever, who starts here at the bottom and then sort of winds up. I know everyone's like, oh, you're just talking about Ronald Coleman and Shangri-La for like the 18th time. But
you need to get on Twitter right now, John. You need to get on Twitter and tweet James Gunn and be like, we need Richard Dragon and we need him now.
Kung Fu Fighter. I don't know, man. We'll get back to James Gunn, but he's got worse problems than guys like me tweeting at him. That's I don't need to throw any gasoline on that fire. James Gunn is a situation where I just stand back and go, I understand. I see no reason to contribute further to this car crash.
All right, let's throw a CCA up. All right, so we have we're talking about Booster Gold. So we have Heroes in Crisis #1, signed by Tom King and Ken Hazer, with a Booster Gold cover sketch by Ken Hazer. It's just a retail of $119.99, and we have the one available for $75 tonight.
Booster looking like he's up to no good.
Let me see. Sean Butler, the guy that owned the Taekwondo school I went to, was in Sidekick as an extra when it was filmed here in Texas. So there was oh my gosh, there was another guy. Oh my God, I can't remember it. They ran a Taekwondo franchise school, a bunch of franchises with schools and stuff, and his son actually was made a few movies. Oh, I forget what their names are. One about the Olympics that had what's his face? Oh my gosh, I'll have to look it up.
Not Jim Cotta again?
No, not Jim Cotta. Man, this is really gonna piss me off.
Tick you off. This is family broadcast.
And it's gone downhill since you've gone. Trying to think. Oh man, his dad ran a chain of schools in the Washington D.C. area. Best of the best. Thank you, Sean Butler. That's it.
Rex
Man,
Eric Roberts. I love Best of the Best.
Oh, Eric Roberts was in it as he was in the tail end of his career.
Are you kidding me? That wasn't the tail end of his career. That guy.
No, he played the master in the Doctor Who movie, right? With the what was his name now? Paul McGann, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like the Doctor Who American movie or whatever they did. Eric Roberts is great. And he was in The Dark Knight. Come on. He's great.
Yeah.
Eric Roberts is a treasure.
So hold on. Oh man, I can't remember that guy's name. Man, he used to have commercials because I went to college in that area. And yeah, that was actually a pretty good movie. Let me see.
Through a bizarre set of circumstances, I was kind of fairly close to people training at the beginning of the UFC, MMA movement. Not me fighting. Oh, let's be clear. I was there from like a professional viewpoint. And these guys called Taekwondo take your dough, because in an actual fight or even an MMA fight, the Taekwondo practitioner has little to no chance to make it 3 minutes in a round. Again, I'm watching this as sort of providing food at low-level events back in the day. But if you listed the number of martial arts that were useful in like mixed martial arts, which, the UFC now, I guess it's fair to say the UFC now is the premier martial arts promotion, legitimate martial arts promotion, at least in this country. Stuff like Taekwondo and Aikido.
So CJ, I did. You're right. That's right. His commercials. Junri, that's it. Thank you, Sean. So not something that anybody other than my family knows. In high school and college, okay, I actually was taking Taekwondo and actually made it to a first-degree black belt and actually went into competition. And you're right about Taekwondo.
How has it been all downhill? Now you're in a comic book. Shouldn't you be in movies or something?
No.
I'm sad now.
Because just like Steven Seagal, I can't act. And neither could Philip Ree. No, Preston, but you know what? Let's do that one next. But so I was very interested in what was going on in the Washington D.C. area, and Junri was unbelievable businessman. The guy was brilliant, enough to finance his son's movie producing career. The problem was the Ree brothers had the same problem. They couldn't act.
Oh no.
Yeah, the acting was bad. The movies were pretty good though. All right, and getting Eric Roberts was a good idea. All right, so Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77, #1 Silver Signature Series signed by Jeff Parker, and it is a best offer item, buddy, starting at $19.66. So,
see, now I'm wondering if I have this. Jeff has signed some things for me under the agreement that for every signature.
Large man, you hear? That's a name drop, bud.
Every time he signs a book for me, that's 90 days. I don't bother him on Twitter, so it works out really well for both of us.
All right, I'm going to throw another book out here, and then Preston has requested the Rex cap. All right, so next up we have
Sensei Rex Wang of Fury, and now we know. Now we know who the son is. The secret son is, right? He's wondering why he's.
I'll be honest with you. Age is a horrible thing, but what was the only real positive out of all those years? Obviously, I was in great shape, but. All right, Preston, you got it, buddy.
Did you leave that son like over at the dojo? Is that what it is? So he was raised by monks, and you moved on to your life.
Actually, at that point in time, we used to go to AAU tournaments, and I actually came in second once, believe it or not. Man. Then I realized I didn't really like getting hit. And
Preston's in on the Batwinner thing.
All right, buddy, you got
book. I love that.
So I actually realized I didn't like getting hit that much. But Taekwondo was a kind of a how do I put this? Because Taekwondo's history in Korea was from another martial art called Kwangdo, and that was actual combat. Okay, like hundreds and hundreds of years. Like this is what the warriors learned or whatever. So it was kind of a vanilla version of it. With a lot of high kicks and stuff. Yeah. But it was, I got to admit, best of the best. It was a great movie to watch the two Ree brothers fighting each other because clearly they had done a lot of it. So it was that was probably one of the greatest fight scenes you've ever seen, because they just, you know, they had to grow up doing this, right?
Yeah.
So when you turn the cameras on, it was just like, you know, it was like an elaborate dance.
That's why certain martial arts kind of suck
Senior
commercially.
sport.
I watched a thing one day, oddly enough, on CNBC, like not where you'd expect to see martial arts discussed, right? But they talked about how martial arts in this country, how much money they dragged in before, during, and after the UFC. Beginning, you had Taekwondo up here, Tiger Schulman's karate, and a few other kind of self-defense oriented things where, you know, maybe you could defend yourself, maybe you couldn't. It was all, I mean, outside of tournaments. I'm talking about real life applications here. And then you get to the UFC and they start doing like mixed martial arts stuff. And there already existed stuff like Hapkido and Jeet Kune Do.
Hapkido, yeah.
Where they would say, you know, they would absolutely take a kick, a punch, a flip from different disciplines and say, we're in, right? Hybrid martial arts or whatever. Nobody knew what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was. Right. Brazil was known for steakhouses and amazingly beautiful women and being really good at sports in the Olympics and South America.
Now I want to go to a Brazilian steakhouse.
Now the average person under 40, under 35 hears Brazil or Brazilian, and they're thinking of the UFC and Jiu-Jitsu. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools, even in like Maple Shade, have like a 6-month waiting list.
Yeah. So, Sean, yeah, I can tell based on your answers, and you know, you whipped out best of the best. So, Sean, I mean, it was great. It was a great thing to do. I made lots of friends and stuff. Guy who went to my school actually made it to, I forget, it was somewhere in the Midwest that year for the Olympics in Seoul. Actually made it to the regionals there, but obviously didn't make the team to go to the Olympics. And Sean, Royce Gracie, that's right, for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And clearly that wrestling and, you know, a little bit of boxing, you know, mixed martial arts, clearly more effective in the real world. So Sean, so I learned the Kibon forms and the Taigu forms coming up. That's what my school specialized in. And a lot of form competitions as well. Also known for Brazilian.
And that's why in the beginning, very early in MMA, unbelievably, professional wrestlers did pretty well. Because when you train to be a professional wrestler, you train not to hurt somebody. Not to hurt
Shamrock was one, right? Kim Shamrock was the big
a pro wrestler named Vince Torelli. And he got into the ring and decided to see what would happen.
Well, what's interesting about UFC was initially it was a failure. They couldn't make any money.
No, it was supposed to be. The Fertitta brothers were looking for something to put in their casinos, right? Because some other casinos were doing like kickboxing and everybody loved it, right? Or they were doing, you know, some other form of martial arts and everybody loved it. They're like, oh my God, this is so, you know, Muay Thai. They were doing Muay Thai. People would watch, lose all their money in the casino, and they were happy because they were drunk. They got fed, and they watched 10, 12 guys beat the crap out of each other, so everybody was happy. The Fertittas were looking for something like that, and that's how they sort of glommed onto this idea of, mixed martial arts. You know,
good one, Alec.
No, I mean, I wrestled in high school too, and every wrestler went through this. You were an old man and you were watching MMA, and you'd be like, I put one of these guys on their ass and the fight would be over. And in the very beginning, that happened a lot, because if once you got dragged to the ground, most people didn't know what to do in a fight because all these guys are fighting and whatever. The Wing Chun practitioner had no idea what to do when somebody either hip tossed him to the ground or shot on his legs and put him to the ground, because that's not what their discipline was. It was they had to evolve into, and God forbid you turned around. If you were in the cage with a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, you could not turn your head because you were getting choked and the fight was over.
You know that Wing Chun was originally developed, invented by a woman.
Well, yeah, wasn't for it's close quarter fighting for in the streets. It's Hong Kong. It's in the streets.
No, it was all China.
Was it China? Because you would only have
which kind of made sense if you think about it.
You only had 3 feet of space, right? So why am I going to do all these sweeping kicks or whatever?
Right, which kind of makes sense.
When someone's attacking you, I need to inflict as much damage as possible.
Right, which kind of makes sense that it was invented by a woman, right? Because of style. All right, so let me see.
That's exactly right. If you got caught you would get submitted, or if you wanted to go out on your shield, your wrist got dislocated or your elbow got
But
dislocated.
I know we've mentioned this before. So I actually think MMA is something else, and I'm glad that it's become something. I wish they would pay the fighters more, because the fact that boxers make that ridiculous amount of money, and MMA fighters don't. But I will say this, okay? That slap thing is just, I can't get over it. That is so stupid.
When they try to sell that as something legitimate, it's hard for me to accept that. If they just sold it for, shiz and giggles, that would be fine. But when you want me to believe that's like a competitive sport, grown men slapping each other in the face, come on. I don't care if they do
that
Russia
one
and
picture.
Poland
Did
or
you see
whatever.
that one picture of that dude? I mean, his one side of the face was completely swollen and it was dragging a little bit, and doctors were saying he that's a sign of brain damage.
I have a feeling that the brain damage came before he agreed to get a slap.
It's even worse.
Oh, look at the clever segue. Black Widow knows martial arts.
Good segue, Jay.
Is that
Anyway,
how you spell segue?
Huh?
Is that how you spell segue?
I think that is, yes.
All right, Jay.
I think that is how you spell segue.
All right.
Talk about brain
good
damage.
segue, Jay. Anyway,
Yeah, I saw some of it because it's on after wrestling. And
it reminds me of that game you played in school, slapping in the hands, except you get to move your hands. This is just so moronic. I don't even understand it.
Whatever. When someone gets their eardrum punctured, I'm going to go and just change the channel. Okay.
There must be some sort of rules to that, I'm guessing. All right. So let me throw another book out here, and then we're going to do a Rex Cap. I know Preston's been waiting for one. After 4 slaps, his jaw was broken and bleeding, no doubt. All right, so let's do Web of Venom, Wraith #1, signed by Donnie Cates. Signed in silver, tough signature to get. Suggested retail $69.99. It is number 81 out of the edition, and we have the one available for $35. All right. So let's go ahead and let's do the Rex Cap. We got the, as always, Dynamite 10-pack reader set, 10 random Dynamite titles. Suggested retail cover price of $3.99 or higher, so suggested retail of $40 or higher. And as always, as a thank you to our viewers, we have it for $5, 50 cents a copy. And a reminder that everybody that makes the purchase tonight will get 1 copy of Barbarella, the Center Cannot Hold Ash Can Edition, and Draculina Blood Simple Ash Can Edition. So that'll come free for anybody that makes a purchase. All right. So next up, Black Widow #7, signed by Dwayne Swarinski, and it is a best offer item. And our buddy Thomas is in the lead at $9. All right, Dwayne, you got it, buddy. All right. Then we had Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77, #1, Silver Signature Series, signed by Jeff Parker. Suggested retail of $69.99. It is the best offer book, and Preston is currently in the lead at $19.66. Then we did Web of Venom, Wraith #1, signed by Donnie Cates. Suggested retail of $69.99, and we have one available for $35. Then we did Heroes in Crisis #9, cover B variant, signed by Clay Mann and Tom King. Suggested retail of $69.99. We were going to make it a 5-star at $50, but Nick came in and lowered it to $40. Is low number 2 of only 40 signed. Then the CCA, Heroes in Crisis #1, signed by Tom King and Ken Hazer, with Booster Gold cover sketch by Hazer. Suggested retail of $119.99. We have the one available for $75. Then the 4 connecting cover, Amazing Spider-Man #789. 4 connecting cover sketch of Green Goblin and Spider-Man by Joe Del Beato and Mariano Nicieza. Has a real Ramita kind of homage there. Suggested retail of $800, and we have the one for $500. And then everything else has been claimed. So we are done with the Rex Cap. All right. So next topic, article that I read. So obviously with James Gunn announcing everything last week, everybody's hopping on it, writing articles and so on and so forth, right? One article I read today, the DCU Snyderverse, was it a mistake by Warner at the time, now Discovery Warner, to release that? Yeah, Tom, it is actually. Let me find it for you, buddy. Let's chew on that. And the reason it said it was a mistake was it emboldened the fans out there because they felt like they could make something happen by starting a grassroots movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but didn't Sonic start that first? When like the fan outcry get them to redo the Sonic animation in that Sonic movie? Wasn't that before the Snyder Cut? And I get the idea that we don't want to embolden fans too much to feel like they have too much of a say, but at the same time, we do kind of have a say, and I'm happy that we got the Snyder Cut, but I do understand that a little bit.
All right, so
like anything else, it's a 50-50 proposition.
Let me get this book up for Thomas first. All right, so the Nick Fury book is Marvel Now .1, #1, signed and silver by Matt Fraction. Fraction SIGs are really getting hard to find. We found this in the warehouse. We literally have the one available. Number 7 of only 10 signed for $69.99.
Well, he's sort of, I don't want to say moved beyond comics, but he's sort of not, he's not as connected to the world of comics as he once was, right? I mean, he's writing screenplays and I'm hearing all these other things. Right. He's not on the con circuit. You don't see him on Writers Row signing stuff for people.
Well, I'll say this. I'm not saying that the fans shouldn't have an opinion, but
Lars, man, Sonic was the first to embolden fans to demand tater tots. Now that I'm behind, I'm a tater tot guy, not a French fry guy.
And weird, not really. I don't want to say it looks like The Rock. He's too skinny to be The Rock, but obviously they were trying to make him look a bit different for licensing purposes. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, my guess is at this point in time, if you had that cute thing in the beginning where Nick Fury was drawn like Samuel L. Jackson, and then being a comic book fan, that triggered Samuel L. Jackson to play the role, almost like comic book, Inception or whatever, right? Now, all of a sudden, we're talking about billions of dollars. So I got to believe Samuel L. Jackson needs to get paid when you put him on the cover of a comic book.
I would imagine.
So now you're kind of getting this.
Yeah, I could see his agent picking up the phone, making a call. I could see that happening totally.
Especially with what's coming out. Secret Invasion is what, March?
I think so.
March,
I don't know if we even have an actual date for that yet. I've heard March. I've heard April. Marvel just dropped it.
Right? So my guess is, Edward, I'm with you. Like half the people I see remind me of The Rock. I think maybe it's just that I like The Rock.
Yeah, I would agree. Agree with what was it Ed Weird that said it, but I think that. It's one thing to allow fans to express their opinion. It's another thing because the article said that Warner was resisting it. They didn't really want to associate with the Snyderverse, right? And then the fans start this groundswell of support. Next thing you know, they release it. And then they release that 4-hour version. And, part of the problem that they're having right now with the Snyderverse fans, the hashtag fire James Gunn is because of that.
Well, we got that whole, we had the whole restore the Snyder Cut and all that kind of stuff going on. And Warner Brothers has been making very, very questionable decisions for years now, right? But I feel like the Snyder Cut I don't think it worked for them because they had to sink more money into it. But I think that, remember that was being worked on during the pandemic when there wasn't movie theaters open and they weren't making money. And I think that I think they thought that this would bring a lot of people over to HBO Max, which I think it did for a moment, but I don't know how.
Yeah, it did for a minute, and that's the best point I've heard. Probably Robbie's, well, not the best point Robbie's mentioned, but the best point about this that Robbie just mentioned. The pandemic is like a weird Twilight Zone time, right? Like fans had way more input, and not just in comic book movies, in a lot of stuff,
right?
Because everybody was sort of on the back foot. Restaurants would start to carry stuff because there was nobody going. Everything was takeout. So all of a sudden people started, I know a bit more about the restaurant business than the average person probably. Restaurants were making crazy decisions because people would get on the internet. They had all the time in the world. hundreds of chat rooms, thousands of people every day. So people start carrying all these weird different ingredients. Well, then the pandemic sort of passes. People go back out. And now you've got this weird thing where restaurants, movies, television, everybody's kind of trying to get back to their footing. And I think this DC thing is so painfully in the spotlight. Like painfully, right? Like you actually see the same way DC Comics can't help but shoot themselves in the foot. Now DC Studios is shooting themselves in the foot. And it's hard to watch. Like they can't seem to get someone with a vision who understands the core of their characters. Who is Superman? Who is Batman? Who is Wonder Woman?
Hold that thought a second. Ron, I got you down for the signed Heroes in Crisis. I'm going to go ahead and make an executive decision.
Yeah.
It's yours, Ron, for 65, buddy.
That's a beautiful booster gold. I'm pretty sure.
For no other reason other than he has been a loyal part of this group now since almost the beginning. I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I think it was Sean that said, he wants the gun universe to succeed. If Warner stays out of it, Discovery Warner, they have a shot at it. I agree. I just feel bad that they're battling all of this right now. And part of it is because of, and after reading the article, I kind of agree with it. Part of it is because fans feel emboldened. But what these fans need to understand is that there's a new sheriff in town. Okay. Gunn and Safran, you got new sheriffs in town and they have a vision. And if you don't let them take this vision and see it through, it's going to be more and more crappy DC universe like we've had.
I might be wrong. I think the fans are going to wind up scuttling the Gunverse. I can see the fans are going to make enough noise.
I don't think so.
I hope you're right.
I don't think so.
I just think we're in a very reactionary period now where if enough noise is made,
I don't think they have enough power. Because here's the secret. I think that for Gunn's success is he's certainly going to attract. No. He's certainly going to attract, the first time out, he's certainly going to attract those comic fans that are not part of the Snyderverse, fanatics, right? Even the Snyderverse fanatics are going to go see the movie just so they can come out and bash it. You can't bash something you haven't seen, right?
It's the Howard Stern thing, right? 50% of the people who listen to him hate him. 50% of the people who listen to him love him. You know what Howard Stern's comment was? 100% of the people are listening to me.
I have to always go back to this example, okay? NWA Eazy-E, okay? I agree, Tom Bishop. Well, not with DCU yet. But Eazy said it best. That one scene in the movie where they're burning the CDs and they're all upset, and Eazy looks out the window and goes, "What do I care? They paid for that."
They paid for that,
right?
It's when people buy shirts like a player moves to another team and they burn his shirt. Dude, did you not drop like $60 or $70 for that?
Yep.
Did the player not get his percentage through the team and the contracts or whatever? What does he care what you do with it?
Exactly right.
Give it to like a homeless charity so somebody could wear it. This thing of I'm going to burn my jersey. Knock yourself out, man.
Well, I'll be honest with you, and this is a funny point. So I didn't want to rub it in some more, but that day that we were doing the show and I was wearing that Eagles jersey, okay, Brian Westbrook. I never buy sports jerseys of a current player because they can get traded.
Yeah, you always buy like a vintage player.
Right, exactly.
I buy a Reggie White jersey.
Right.
I'm not buying
Thank you.
That's what I do with Funko Pops now since I had to get rid of my Des Bryant and my Tony Romos. So there.
Go with the classics.
Yeah.
Wait, what did Ed Weird say?
And I think
can you highlight that, Jay?
He was saying that there he goes. People are praising Gunn or hating him, and he hasn't even done anything yet for DC. So, but the thing is, I can praise him because I'm a big fan of James Gunn. I love the Guardians movies. I love Slither. I love what he does. I think he's a cool dude. I think he's got a good
Peacemaker, right?
Yeah.
So we see what he's going to do. And Peacemaker is successful.
Yeah.
Right?
I got to tell you.
Did anybody have a problem with Peacemaker?
I love Peacemaker. I absolutely love that. I'm disappointed it's not going to be in this first year. I liked it so much. But I think, again, that the fan base there, we've seen what happens when the fan base pushes their vision. Okay. And it wasn't good.
You want my Des Bryant jersey.
And no matter what what we say about Feige and everything else, and while we didn't like Moon Knight or this, blah, 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 whatever, I don't see him taking like votes. It's a vision and it's the journey. Now we can complain about, oh, we didn't like this, we didn't like that, but guess what? He's not making moves based on what they're saying. So it weird says, I was thinking about DC though. You can't be a fan of Gunn's DCU before he does something. You can't hate it either. Agreed. I totally agree.
I can
we're
hate
just
that.
saying
Maybe it's going to be Dave Bautista, so he's at strike one.
Well, for me, I'm just saying I'm excited. And other people I have talked to, even if they weren't excited by the initial announcements, they're excited that at least there's a direction.
Agreed. And I believe that the faith is from obviously Guardians of the Galaxy, Peacemaker, okay, other things that he's done. And we've watched him take a second tier title and make it of general interest.
You think Peacemaker was second on title?
No, I'm talking about Guardians.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Peacemaker wasn't even on the map.
I was thinking he's like an 8th tier title.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Absolutely. You're right.
So TJ, hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's break time.
That's an interesting point he just made, TJ James. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Godot, Cavill, and Affleck, how much is that going to cost? We saw what happened with Black Adam. Perfect example. Shazam made less money than Black Adam, but cost significantly less to make than Black Adam. So we look at Shazam as a success.
Well, have you seen how much jet fuel costs when The Rock blows in? I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, so and we're saying Peter Jackson did a good job with Lord of the Rings, but Hobbit was terrible. I would tend to agree with that, but again, I don't think they didn't hold true. Oh my gosh, we're past the break time, but I'm going to make this final point. They didn't hold true. Lord of the Rings was how many movies? But that was a series of books. Hobbit was one book, dude. How you stretch it out into how many movies they make? 3, 2?
He wrote.
Yeah. Well, and also, when it was announced that Peter Jackson was doing The Hobbit, we were excited because we liked Lord of the Rings. And then we didn't like it. So if James Gunn pumps out some crappy movies, I'll be like, I don't like this. But for now,
You know how James Gunn can redeem himself from the Dave Bautista disaster? He announces Green Lantern with Anson Mount as Hal Jordan and Common as Jon Stewart.
Right.
And then I'm willing to give him another chance.
All right. So we're going to go to our last and final break, and we'll be back in a couple minutes. Stay with us.
Did you know that across America there are over 2, maybe even 3 live stream producers who can't even afford Mountain Dew? Take Brian here. Brian has gone 2 weeks without a sip of Red Bull. If it goes on much longer, he may take a shower and get a real job. Situations like this are as tragic as they are preventable. Join the experience on YouTube and gain access to special emojis and members-only streams. For less than a cup of coffee, you can keep socially awkward hermit people working from their parents' basements where they belong. Scan the QR code on the screen to join. You'll be glad you did. Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Go follow The Experience on TikTok at @the_EXP1 or scan the QR code on the screen. Our TikTok is like everywhere else we are, except you only have to deal with us for a minute. Seems like a win-win to me.
All right, and
Oh,
we're back.
Stop. We're not going to go to anything. I want both Sean and Ron removed from the chat because Anson Mount is not too old to play Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan should be older. Ronald, Mike Coulter,
The whole reason
Jon Stewart,
they didn't get Batista to play
I wanted to
Bane.
say, but Sean has to go. I'm sorry. That's
The whole reason why
imagine if people left the chat, they'd be so upset.
the whole reason why Batista was not going to be able to play Bane is because he said that they were going to skew younger in the cast, so they have room to grow, right, over like 10 years, right?
I don't want to see.
still think Dave Batista. I still think Dave Batista could play Bane for Matt Reeves' Batman film.
Oh, that would be cool. And I like Mike Coulter a lot. I don't know if Mike Coulter being Luke Cage, all jokes aside, Ron, I don't know if Mike Coulter being Luke Cage hurts or helps him. You know, I would think it's like it would help him because he's already familiar with the genre. But, you know, if they start getting into that brand tribalism thing, well, he's like a Marvel guy. So I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know where that's going to go.
Sean says he'll die on this hill.
And you'll die on that hill. Hal Jordan should have gray in his temples. He should always be older because he was, you know what I mean? That like Jon Stewart was given the ring in case Hal Jordan messed up. Well, let's be honest. I love Hal Jordan. He messes up a lot. Like a lot.
Well, Hal Jordan had the gray in the temples when I first saw him as a kid, right? You know, like, well, not when I first saw him, because when I first saw him was Superpowers, right? The action figure line. But that was actually a very short time. That's like 1990 to like 1996 is when we had the gray templed Hal Jordan. Throughout the majority of it, he's just been a young, handsome man. Not quite Ryan Reynolds, you know, but so I think somebody
John Malkovich is Hugo Strange. Now we're talking.
That is interesting. All right. So, we got a few more books we got to get through.
He's only 37. I think Anson Mount's like 44 years old. He's not that old a guy.
But I think in the movies, Hal's going to be like 25 to 30, I think.
All right. So, next up, we've got Flash Forward #1, signed by Scott Lobdell. The Flash movie that John has already said he will not ever watch.
Yeah,
even though he's seen Morbius twice.
If they want to do a Flash movie with something different, I'm happy to see it. They wanted to bring Grant Gustin up. I'm happy. I got no interest in seeing. I wasn't sold on Ezra Miller as the Flash in any of his appearances, so I'm good. I wish them well.
John Hamm, that's an interesting.
John Hamm is the guy I wanted to be Hal Jordan when we first kind of started talking about this stuff, because to me, Hal Jordan is the quintessential 1960s test pilot character, right? Which is when he was created. John Hamm from Mad Men had that 1960s vibe going. Now I'm not, you know what I mean? Now, I that's like a cardinal sin. Characters aren't allowed to be over a certain age. I have no interest in seeing I don't want to see the CWJLA. If that's what James Gunn is going to do, all right, good luck, man. I find
it hard to believe that's what
I don't want to see that. I never think Batman should be older than Superman. That's laughable. Superman is the first superhero.
You know what I think John Hamm could do for the DCU? I think he could be Jor-El. I think he'd be a really good Jor-El.
Wow, that's a great call. That is a great call.
All right.
Ezra Miller is terrible as the Flash. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm not.
You heard me say it, but I'll still watch the film when it comes out. All right. So Flash Forward, $19.56. We have one available, number 15 of 60 signed. All right. And then we have Giant Size X-Men Tribute, Wayne Cockrum, #1, signed by Kevin Nolan. It's number 5 of 75 signed. I love this cover. Suggested retail is $69.99. We have it as a 5-star at $50 book.
No, but all jokes aside, though, we're having this great discussion back and forth, whatever. I'd love to see everybody weigh in on what they think, like who they're going with or whatever. And that's the good sign. That's the good sign for not just James Gunn, but the DCU, both comics and the movies in general. Like, we're still talking about it, right? Like, it's just like pro wrestling. If they're booing, I'm happy. If they're cheering, I'm happy. When they're quiet, that's not good. And it's the same with this. If we're talking about, if I say something about, I think, I think Anson Mount should be the Green Lantern, and nothing happens, that's a sign that is a terrible choice, and they should move right on.
All right. So next up, our last CCA of the night, Batman Spawn #1, signed with Batman cover sketch by Ken Hazer. Suggested retail of $89.99. We have the one available 5-star at $50.
Ken said once that those bats he does, we were talking on Instagram one day, those bats he does, it's like a single motion. Right. Remember he talked about that. Like you would think, well, maybe he's doing this and that because the shape is great. It's literally him going, and he's done. Like the pen does not come off the paper till it's done. And he moves to the next one. And I'm like, that kind of talent is like wild.
You know, I got to say, hey, Joel, what's going on, buddy? I got to agree with Tom Bishop. It wasn't that he was horrible, but it just wasn't, it was meh. I'll accept him as Superman, because he's in the movie. But other than that,
part of the reason Cavill was so well received is Brandon Routh was not well received.
Yes, I agree with that.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you've had a Slim Jim and I give you a halfway decent burger, you're like, dude,
best
I love
burger I've ever had.
But it's the best burger I've ever had. So, and I like Brandon Routh. Don't get me wrong. He's in some very cool movies.
Yeah.
His greatest character is in Scott Pilgrim Saves the World. But you know what I mean? And I think that's a big part of it. And also, there are certain, and I'm afraid whoever's Black Panther is next is going to have this problem. There are multiple generations of people that look at Superman and see Christopher Reeve, and that's it. Forget the Snyderverse and the Gunverse. I want to return to the Donnerverse. And I just think that for certain people, olds like me, I just want to see Christopher Reeve. And yeah, Ralph was doing a Reeves impression, and I think it came off as fake-ish, but not legitimate. I don't want to say fake because, I mean, the guy really put in effort, but
it was also weird. It was also a bit of a weird stretch at that time to do a direct sequel to Superman 2 and ignoring the others. This is before where it's the new thing now, like the requel and ignoring.
Oh yeah, they basically completely ignored Superman 3, 4, and 5 or whatever they had. It was literally, and they tried to do the Super Sons thing too. Somebody mentioned the Super Sons earlier. They tried to do this sort of. Remember in Superman Returns, a lot of people conveniently forget about this because they didn't like it.
Right.
You've got this asthmatic little kid or whatever, and then all of a sudden he's strong enough to spike a baby grand piano against the wall, which was a cool reveal. But
that was before Jonathan Kent was introduced.
Yep,
right?
that's before Jonathan Kent was a character.
Right. Hold on a second here. Can you guys see us here or
what? Kirk Allen?
No. Hey, Jay. Are we a commercial here, bud?
I can see you.
No, I see you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking at the bottom.
Maybe I'm running so far behind.
He's a half hour behind. I'll tell you right now, if you ever want to see something cool, you can probably find it on YouTube or whatever. Kirk Allen, the Superman serials.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
The way they did Superman flying was amazing. Kirk Allen would come out and be Superman. He'd beat people up, and then he'd kind of run off camera like he was flying.
Right.
And they would actually have they would animate in a flying figure up above. That's how they worked around their budget. It was even before rotoscope or some of these other things. They literally just had me go up, and away, and I go out of the frame. And then way up here, the animated vision of Superman flying away. And for people like in 1948 or whatever that was, like they can't believe what they're saying.
All right, so let's get to the last few books. All right, so we have Star Wars number 41 from 1980. It is a presumed grade of 6.5, and we have the one available for $40.
The Max Fleischer cartoons, I said this on a comics podcast about 4 or 5 years ago. Everybody was arguing about the best version of Superman. Is there a best version? I'm going to probably say Richard Donner's Superman. But I wouldn't say somebody else is wrong. My favorite version is the Max Fleischer cartoons. I love the way they sort of capture that era. You know what I mean? The way they tell the whole story.
Every weekend I watch George Reeves on H9.
See, that one was... That's like a sentimental favorite, but if you rewatch that,
I mean, dude, they had a limited budget. Special effects technology had not reached the level. I mean, they could only do what they could do at the time, but I really enjoyed it. All right, so next up, and a reminder, everybody, Throw this up there, Jay.
If that's your DC Superman homework, go to YouTube and find some of the Kirk Allen serials. They're really fun to watch.
Everyone who makes a purchase tonight will get a free copy of Barbarella, The Center Cannot Hold Ash Can Edition, and Draculina Blood Simple Ash Can Edition.
These are so cool. I love these things.
Oh, Thomas, if you haven't watched George Reeves, dude, you got it's on. It's every weekend. It's on Heroes and Icons. If you get that channel,
and then I think Me TV. Is it Me TV? Maybe.
Maybe.
You might even be able to. A lot of these things are on YouTube. People will just throw up an episode or two.
They're classic. And then when they make that switch to color,
when they make the switch to color, like if you watch 2 or 3 episodes in black and white, that first episode in color,
it's like pow.
Yeah, you're a little kid. You back away from the TV, like, what am I looking at?
So,
and yeah, I've said that before too. People are like, "Oh, you hate Batman." I hate most Batman. I absolutely love Batman animated series. To me, that's the Batman I want to see. That's the voice I want to hear. I'm not that interested in, kind of. And Batman 66. I mean, when you're old, you grew up watching that.
Yeah,
so
and I appreciate it more now. With the campiness. All right, so last 3 books of the night, we have Vampirella versus Red Sonja #4. Incentive Virgin cover by Drew Moss.
That's a great cover, man.
1 in 25 ratios, just retail of 50, and we have the one available for 30.
Oh, that's cool. Thomas has the DVDs of the George Reeves show.
That is cool.
I always love when a Superman writer will reference something in the past. Like at one point, somebody had Smallville in Reeves County, Kansas, and I love that. I might have been John Bogno, but you know what I mean? It's like one of the creators, like they'll always reference something. You know what I mean? To let you know that I'm with you. You know what I mean? George Reeves was one of the twins. I can't remember the name of it.
Yes, that's right. That's
my wife's favorite movie is Gone with the Wind. It's on all the time. And I'm like, why did you guys lose the Civil War? He's Superman. Civil War should have been over in like a day.
The first actress to win Best Actress for an Academy Award of Asian descent was from that movie. Just so you know.
Vivian Leigh? I don't want Amy Power walking in here again going,
all right,
where are you getting those facts from?
All right, last 2 books. Mad Balls versus Garbage Pail Kids, Time Again, Slime Again, #1, limited edition virgin cover by Joe Simcoe. It's just a retail of 50, and we have the one available for 40.
That's a good point, Stevie B, because Voyage to the Bottom to see the movie is in color. It's like a amazing Technicolor Irwin Allen classic, right? And then you get the first season of the TV show, and you're like,
I remember
season 2 is in color, and that's a show that got infinitely better in color because they could do those cool Technicolor effects of being underwater, which I think is just a blue light kind of spinning around.
Yeah, which you don't get in black and white. All right, so last book, Unbreakable Red Sonja #3, Incentive Virgin cover by Giuseppe Mattioni, 1 in 25 ratio.
Nice.
It's just a retail of 50, and we have the one available for 30. All right, let's do
Red
a quick.
Sonja as a caregiver is like, kind of like a relatively new thing the last couple of years. But having read Red Sonja most of my life, it's very cool because you've seen Sonja do everything. Seeing her with a little kid that she's trying to sort of keep alive and maybe not make super bloodthirsty, but no, I got to teach this kid to chop people's heads off because it's an evil world. It's very cool.
All right, so let's go to the Rex Cap. All right, we've got, as always, Dynamite 10-pack reader set, 10 random Dynamite titles with a $3.99 cover price or higher, so it's just retail $40 or higher. As always, as thank you to our viewers, $5, 50 cents a copy. You can't lose. If you get only that, I can send it media mail if you are within the continental United States. Flash Forward #1, signed by Scott Lobdell, and it is number 15 of 60, only 60 signed. We have one available for $19.56. Then we have Black Widow #7, signed by Dwayne Swerinsky, and is a best offer item, and Thomas is currently in the lead at $9. Then we have Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77, #1 Silver Signature Series, signed by Jeff Parker. And it's just a retail of $69.99. It is a best offer book. Preston is currently in the lead at $19.66. Then we had Giant Size X-Men Tribute Ween Cockrum #1, signed by Kevin Nolan in silver. Suggested retail is $69.99, and it's number 575 and is one of our 5-star $50 books. Then we did Web of Venom Wraith #1, signed by Donny Cates. Suggested retail of $69.99. We have the one available for $35.
As Sean just mentioned it, the 10 packs, we talk about this all the time. There's a reason why we always offer them. It's a great way for people, like they hear us make these references. It's a great way to just jump in and see, you know what I mean? See what we're talking about.
Agreed. And then we had Marvel Now .1 number 1 signed in silver by Matt Fraction. Warehouse Find, we have one number 7 of 10 signed for $69.99. Then we did Batman Spawn number 1 signed with Batman cover sketch by Ken Hazer. Suggested retail of $89.99, and it is one of our 5-star at $50 books.
Those bats look so good. That's just wild to me that Ken just, oh yeah, he's like, sometimes I just do pages of them as a goof. Okay, man.
All right.
So then, on Wednesday.
So then we have, all right. So then we have Amazing Spider-Man number 789, 4 connecting cover sketch of Green Goblin and Spider-Man by Joe Del Beato and Mariano Nicieza. Suggested retail of $800, and we have the one available for $500. Reminder, everyone who makes a purchase tonight will get a free copy of Barbarella, The Center Cannot Hold, Ash Can Edition, and Draculina, Blood Simple, Ash Can Edition.
Sean, real quick to answer your question as we're going through these. Generally, silver and gold and the different colored inks represent, I think, or at least they used to represent, how many were signed, right? Gold was the fewest signed. Silver was the fewest signed. Usually something like red would be like special or thematic, and the green signings were just to shut me up because Nick got tired of me asking for an emerald signature.
What he said. All right, so then we had Star Wars number 41.
Edward, you're right. If I tried to do that, it would never happen. You would just, like, why are you writing the letter V, Goofus? And meanwhile, Ken does it.
Presumed grade of 6.5, and we have the one available for $40. Then we did Vampirella versus Red Sonja number 4, Incentive Virgin cover by Drew Moss, 1:25 ratio. Suggested retail of $50, and we have the one available for $30. Then we did Mad Balls versus Garbage Pail Kids, Time Again, Slime Again, number 1, limited edition virgin cover by Joe Simcoe. Suggested retail of $50, and we have the one available for $40. Then we did Unbreakable Red Sonja number 3, Incentive Virgin cover by Giuseppe Mattioni, 1:25 ratio. Suggested retail of $50, and we have one available for $30.
A little Frank Thorne energy in there, which I really like. You know, I think a lot of the, I don't say this in a negative way, but I think a lot of the creators in the Red Sonja space now, they're trying to shy away from that, right? They're trying to shy away from you know, they're trying to give her like a little, maybe their own look, a little bit something different. I kind of like that he just embraces, look, man, Frank Thorne is like the Red Sonja guy. Let's move in that direction a little bit.
Agreed.
I think that's very cool.
Yeah,
so in theory, gold is worth more because there are less of them, right? Maybe like 50 books are gold signed, 100 books are silver signed. There's, of course, exceptions for if something's real particular, but it works. It's just like a real metal. Gold is worth more because there's less of it.
All right, so as we're closing on the end of the show, I'm going to throw another bomb out there. All right, so no, not really a bomb, but I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Taron Egerton as the next Wolverine, the guy from Kingsman.
Did they confirm that?
No, they did not.
Oh.
So they're still guessing, but apparently he posted an Instagram where he's getting super buff.
Oh yeah, I did see something about that where he's trained. The only
so everybody is
Wolverine I want to see who's already in great shape is Daniel Radcliffe. See,
well, you know, the Edgerton thing, that's been like he's been campaigning for that for a while. Like he's been
really Preston's in the lead at 1966, buddy. Did we close out already?
No, I think we still have a little bit of time left. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Taron is sort of like, best offers are closed. So congratulations to whoever won.
I mean, Taron's trying to make up. He's trying to make up for that Dragon Ball movie, and we need to let him have that chance. Okay.
Kingsman was good. I thought his Robin Hood was. It's just been done too many times. Robin Hood of late.
I hate to see it, but Kingsman is his thing. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not to pigeonhole him, but that's his franchise. If he's looking for a franchise movie, that's his thing.
I don't know. I think he'd make a good. I think he'd make a good Wolverine personally.
You know what? I'm like 50. I'm not close to the idea. I keep seeing him as the guy in the skiing movie, Eddie the Eagle, and I keep seeing him in Kingsman, and I'm like, you're gonna be Wolverine? I'm okay. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. or maybe it's too much Hugh Jackman.
But if you didn't
Hugh
know,
Jackman-
but if you didn't know like who Hugh Jackman was, right? And like Hugh Jackman became known as Wolverine. But let's say Hugh Jackman had a career. That's funny. But let's say Hugh Jackman had a career, and now he's being like you wouldn't think of him as Wolverine, right?
I agree, especially because that guy was a
way
little
too
bit
tall.
more of a comedic actor and a musician, right? He was not. I don't think he was an action star before he became Wolverine. I think that's one of these kind of like, almost like Bryan Singer magic tricks. Like he finds this guy, and I saw some very early things on YouTube that Hugh Jackman was in. It was not. I mean, he was in good shape, but he wasn't Wolverine.
Right.
And he certainly wasn't this intense sort of, you messed up, so I'm cutting your head off. He wasn't that actor. I saw him in some Australian show, and he was, there was nothing like Robbie just said. There was nothing that tells me that that's Wolverine.
Right.
I've heard this Daniel Radcliffe thing too, and there's an element of that that's very appealing. But he is so Harry Potter. I think that's what.
Yeah,
stunted
I
his
don't think
career.
that's going to work. Yeah.
That's also a joke. I don't want people to think
Yeah.
I'm serious about that. Daniel Radcliffe is a good actor. I've seen him in other things. I have no problem with him, but that's Harry Potter. I hate to say it. He's Harry Potter till the day he dies.
Yeah, and Marcus
And
is
the-
right. Hugh Jackman was the second choice for Wolverine. The original choice was Doug Ray Scott, but he turned it down because he was filming Mission Impossible 2.
Possible, all right?
Yeah.
That
And I'm
worked out.
so glad it wasn't him because I hate that guy.
I just don't think that guy. I don't see how that guy was going to be Wolverine either. Because Doug Ray Scott has appeared in a bunch of stuff, and he kind of seems like another one of these sort of James Bond wannabe types, suave, whatever.
Right.
How are you supposed to convince me that you're a Canadian from the 18th century living in the woods and killing people?
What about Clint Eastwood's son? He's been kind of thrown around for Wolverine potentially.
I could, on the surface, I could see that a little bit more.
Is it Scott?
So-
Is it Scott Eastwood? Is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah.
On the
So-
surface, I could see that a little bit more. But hey, I'm open to whoever they get.
Danilo, hey, how you doing, buddy? We will have that tracking for you tomorrow, my friend. Okay.
See, that would work. Daniel Radcliffe as Nightcrawler could work. If he actually wants to join the MCU, there are roles for Daniel Radcliffe.
See, Preston,
Wolverine is not one
Radcliffe
of them.
as Nightcrawler might work because
That'd
there'd
be
be
cool.
so much makeup you can kind of disassociate him from Harry
Well, they
Potter.
had
I think.
Alan Cumming be Nightcrawler. Now, if you've seen Alan Cumming, that guy's about as suave and debonair and MF as there is. To believe that guy's got a tail and he's walking on walls, that's a stretch. But they
So-
put him in the makeup, and he's a tremendous talent. He did a great job. So, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem if they said, Nightcrawler is Daniel Radcliffe, or maybe if they even tried to go in the Toad direction.
So, Robbie, what do you got coming up tonight?
Well, the only way that we can follow up the most monumental film in the 20th century, Surf Ninjas, is with looking at one of my favorite directing duos, the Coen brothers. So we're talking about one of my favorite Coen brothers films tonight, Inside Llewyn Davis, starring Oscar Apocalypse Isaac. So there you go. Great film.
9 p.m. Eastern on Pop Culture Philosophers. That Ernie Reyes Jr.
And he
or
actually
Ernie
makes
Banks.
a lot
I
of
don't
sense of the
remember who.
gibberish that we say. So you should probably be checking out Robbie's channel. Somebody mentioned Tony Starr as Wolverine. And on the surface, you'd be like, no. But I'll tell you this. If you watch Tony Starr in something called Banshee, which I think was kind of like the first established American thing he did, that character could be Wolverine.
Hey guys, I'm just doing a public service announcement for Nick. Everyone, please check out Comic Art Live tomorrow at 9.
Okay,
It's gonna be very-
Comic Art Live tomorrow at 9.
And if not,
It's gonna be a very fun show.
Amy will not send books. She's taking attendance. So, I'm just saying, if I had a book coming, I'd probably watch the show.
All right. For that Marvel point one.
Peter
All right, yeah,
Dinklage.
no problem,
All right,
Thomas.
man.
Just shoot us an email, rex.wang@dynamite.com. Not a problem, buddy. Yeah, definitely. Anything
Peter
that didn't,
Dinklage could be Puck. He could not be Wolverine.
yeah, I agree. Anything that did not sell tonight, shoot me an email, buddy. All right. Join Robbie at 9. We will be back Wednesday, and we're pretty certain Ken Hazer will be here. So
What
that
do we
should be a
got next?
heck of a lot of fun.
We have something up next on the experience,
I don't know, Jay. Who's
Jay,
next?
we have something up next.
We have Jenna with General Disorder.
Okay.
And then after that, we have Hot Takes with Kyle.
All right then. So stay tuned.
Yeah, we got
check
stuff
out
here.
Robbie's
show. Robbie, thanks for joining us. Glad to be back. Thanks everybody for the good wishes. People are kind of stirring up there. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're glad you're back, buddy. All right, so we'll see everybody Wednesday. Thanks for joining us.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.